That's why I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must act swiftly. Acting swiftly, we have a body called Presidential Advisory Council on foreign relations, or is it international relations? Now, we have those people. We have Chief Emeka Anyauku, who is still alive. We have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Olusegun Obasanjo. We have diplomats, experienced people. We have religious leaders. Cardinal Francis Onayeka, Bishop Matthew Kuka. All of these people should be mobilized immediately. And there should be diplomatic engagement for Nigeria to say, no, it is not true. We're having security challenges in Nigeria. After all, there's religious attacks, yes, by Boko Haram, what Trump calls the Islamist state. Yeah, Professor Zulum can confirm that yes, there is attack. But that attack is not just against Christians. All of us are in this pressure cooker lifestyle that we live in Nigeria. And I think President Tinubu struck the right note by saying, look, Nigeria is ready to work with the United States, to help us. After all, terrorism, banditry, being international, cross-border challenge. And the Nigerian government has always been asking for international help, either from the British or the French or the United States or from, regional countries within West Africa. If America invades Nigeria, it's not just only Nigerians that will suffer. The whole of West Africa will be destabilized. Okay, let's go a bit further.
Now to on far. Ma okuta to wa nbe ma yoku nbe. Ma sabi gbata ba nsa ewa. Now to on far. Ma okuta to wa nbe ma yoku nbe. Ma sabi gbata ba nsa ewa.
That's the only advice I can give him, because that's what you say is approbating, reprobating. It's blowing hot, it's blowing cold. Okay, Nigeria should be offended, not because Donald Trump tweeted against the killings of the Christians in Nigeria in that sense. You should be offended that it took Donald Trump's tweet to get your government to start talking about the insecurity in Nigeria. And now, if the terrorists are killed, are they saying that if the terrorists are killed in Nigeria, it's going to cause religious war? Or if the terrorists are killed in the name of protecting the Christians, the Muslims are going to start war and start killing Christians? Because I don't understand the logic behind, because they are all kind of like saying the same thing. They will blow hot in how they respond or feel towards what Trump tweeted. Then they will go ahead and say the government needs to do something, the government needs to tighten up. But that one, it's going to be like with this kind of like, respectful voice of, as if to say they are not in the same country with the same government all these years when this whole thing escalated to this level. They have been in that same place and the government has never listened to them. Ever. But just 2 tweets from Donald Trump. Everywhere blur. Everywhere. And right now, it is the insult. It's also right that if America invades Nigeria, again, the CPC put on Nigeria. Listen to this, maybe I should explain that. It is the country of particular concern based on that people are being religiously persecuted. All right. However, it is not an indictment on Nigeria. It is an indictment on your government officials whose job is to protect you as guaranteed in your constitution. You have the constitutional right of, what do you call that thing? Religious freedom. But if you are living in Lagos, it would sound somehow to you that people are being killed and chased away from their community because they are Christians. And that's why most of you are always highly opinionated about this whole thing. Majority of you, 99% of you, have never been to these places. And when you see all these stories, you've never really been moved by these stories. Even the stories of the survivors, you have always like downplayed them because you can't imagine how is that even possible. Because your government wanted to feel like that. As it's not happening in your area, definitely. Maybe it is not that bad. Maybe they are trying. And people are dying every day. So it took 2 tweets from Donald Trump to get them to be doing all these media runs and all of that. They want to have a talk to him. What do you want to tell Trump if you meet him? Why do you have to send delegates to Trump? Why are you not sending delegates to Tiknumbu? People who care about Nigeria, who wanted this one Nigeria, all those your past leaders, how come they not put themselves together right now and march down to the Aso Rock and say this country is going up in smoke? You are doing a very, very nonsense job. What is going on? Is that not what should be? Why should they go to Trump and tell him? What do you want to go and tell Trump? On one hand, una say America should stay away, the blah, the blah. On the other hand, you want people to go and tell America that, please, Nigeria, or respect Nigeria. I mean, I don't understand. Don't worry, I don't have to. But in America, right, especially the Christian Americans, that I believe there are thousands of them on social media talking about this and the way they felt about Donald Trump's response. They are part of the reasons why some of you are afraid that they are coming to kill the terrorists. No, America is not coming to kill the terrorists. They are coming to invade Nigeria. Okay, invade Nigeria to kill the terrorists. No, that's not the black, But for Americans, it's actually a great news. This is likely going to annoy you more.
Huge update on the Nigeria situation. 3 days ago, I made my video with Judge Saul warning about the terrorists in Nigeria and how the government's turning a blind eye to the slaughter of Christians. 2 days later, Donald Trump does what we were asking for in the video, the first thing we asked for, which is to designate Nigeria as a nation of particular concern. This is an important thing, legally speaking. It allows the gears to turn in other directions as far as in our government. Then today, we get a new announcement, and this is huge. I'm going to read it to you. This is what the president of the U.S. just said officially. He declares this to the Nigerian government. Let me read it to you. This levels things up. You'll hear the rhetoric. It's pretty intense. He says, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities, Trump wrote. It goes on. He says, I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacked our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. Let me just say, the purpose of government is to be a terror to the wicked, and these terrorists should actually be killed. This is the moral and right thing to do. I'm not cringe to say it. As a Christian, I stand on Scripture. I stand on God's word when I say those who are mass murdering should be killed. The government should go in with guns and kill them. That's the right thing for them to do. Now, if they turn themselves in, we should take them through court and do due process and then kill them. But that's the appropriate and right thing. But this will hopefully create pressure. Let's see what happens next. I just want to update you guys because, listen, it was your actions that helped lead to this, I believe.
Yeah, you're going to be like, why is this America? You see those evangelical Americans? You've heard about them, right? Yeah, they are evangelical with guns. They are really, really religious in that sense. Yeah. And those are the ones you will see just relocating to these African countries, sometimes just to go and do this charity missionary job and all of that stuff, because they felt like they needed to connect, Americans. So to them, many of them have been visiting the Middle Belt part of Nigeria. They have visited some of these IDP camps. Many of them have written so many letters to their own representatives in America upon their return back to the country. And Nigeria is a place where sometimes, until something becomes mainstream, you never probably will pay attention to them. So Americans and foreigners visit Nigeria. They visit all of these people, the survivors of this terrorism, they listen to their stories. Something that your government doesn't give a damn about. If you ask your government to give you the data of all of the displaced people in Nigeria today, they can't give you. You know that they can't give you. They don't care about any survivor. They don't. Well, when you see some of these foreigners that comes to Nigeria, they actually meet the victims, the real victims. They take their stories, they record them, they document them as much as possible. They take all this data back to their countries for God knows different purposes. And one of them is to pressure their country to, their own government to do something about what they have found or they saw when they visited these places in Nigeria. Places that even your president, your elected representatives, your selected representatives have chosen never to visit because it is too dangerous. And then they will turn on the camera, they will turn the camera on and they will be telling you how great things they are doing, how much they have done, how much, that stuff. But if America chooses to now come to Nigeria, how is that really going to be like? Arise TV, Arise News, they brought an American journalist or a reporter straight from an American from Washington, D.C. And he gives them the idea if Nigerian government failed to move fast as they have been advised, and Trump gives the go-ahead that they should go on and do, this is what that's going to be like. Watch this.
Good morning. Good morning here in a chilly, rainy Washington, where there was a lot of surprise over the weekend. On Saturday, President Trump announced that he was potentially going to take strikes within Nigeria to protect Christians there. He then on yesterday, actually reiterated his desire to protect Christians in Nigeria. And so we are beginning to wake up here in Washington with a lot of questions. Will there be U.S. military efforts in Nigeria?
Okay, James. Let me just, for purposes of clarification, is there any action against the groups responsible for sectarian violence who would by necessity, the necessity for Nigerian intelligence getting assistance as they are so embedded into the country? Don't you think success will be very difficult without this intelligence element?
You're absolutely right. The president has stated his desire to, potentially use military action, but as we all know, it would be very difficult and actually impossible to do any action within Nigeria without the support of Nigerian intelligence. Policy analysts here believe that this is an opportunity for Nigeria to partner with the United States, with the United States Department of War, as it's now called, to try to figure out what could be done jointly. Sharing of intelligence, sharing of information, sharing of strategies for the U.S. and for Nigeria to partner and to do something together. I think it would be very, very unlikely for the U.S. to move within Nigeria militarily on its own.
Thank you, James. The president's team would, by necessity, need small teams, possibly from a joint task force, Horn of Africa. Don't you think this is the kind of operation they specialize in?
Yes, it is absolutely the operation that the JTF Horn of Africa, which is based in Djibouti, Camp Lemonnier, this is their specialty. I had the really good fortune a few years ago to make one of the first visits by television journalists to that camp. And basically what it has done through the years is to fight insurgencies across the African continent. And these are small strike forces that have gone into countries and really with the support of the local government, of the local military, of the local intelligence, have been able to sort of put an end to some of these insurgent movements. I think the challenge in this instance is how would you do that in a country as large as Nigeria, where these incidents are happening in different places, and as you know, in some urban places. And so, yes, there is expertise within the region, but the question is, could it act independently? Could it act without the support of Nigerian intelligence? That seems highly implausible.
So U.S. African Command is based in Germany, and are they officials? Are they aware of this development already, James?
Yeah, they are aware of. Good morning.
So the point there is that the window, right, that could have this whole thing managed well for Tipnumbu, right? The window for Tipnumbu right now is that whenever he manages to break that diplomatic barrier, which currently is said to have been placed like before them, they have not been able to really reach out to Washington on this matter. And every effort seems not to have worked so far. Maybe right now that we are watching this, something is being cooked. Now, the window for Tifnumbu right now to show that he indeed wanted the terrorism to end in Nigeria, and they have been doing their best. It's just that, they have been overwhelmed. It's for them to share the intel they have on these terrorists. For example, hey, here is Damboa Forest. In this Damboa Forest, we have mapped the location of this terrorist here. Okay? But you see, from here to here is about 100 kilometers. We have communities, villages around here that kind of you will see in your map. So if you are going to operate in this terrain, we do not have this so and so, but if you want to operate in this terrain, please consider the civilians in this area. That's how you cooperate in sharing intelligence on the terrorist. So you're already dealing with them, and possibly the Americans have almost everything they need, but they would need you to show that you wanted this to happen. And by the way, then they can do this in a more sort of like amicable, respectful way. All they're asking for is for Nigeria to show that indeed they are not protecting the terrorists. Do you understand? The bone of contention is that they want to know if Nigeria is willing to neutralize these terrorists. And Nigeria says, yes, of course we are. Please, let's do it together. Then you and I may not even have to know much, other than for us to start reading in the news how some of them have been neutralized, killed. At the same time, make APC publish the names of the sponsor of terrorism in Nigeria. They have the names. They have their names. Even us who are not into security and what have you, on social media, right, we do have the names of some of the well-verified, confirmed sponsor of Fulani terrorism, Boko Haram in Nigeria, and how they have been funding them. Thanks to the UAE government. Yes, Dubai. So they published that, forwarded that to Nigeria, Saudi Arabia. These are places where they have published names of a terrorist and terror sponsor. One of them today is the negotiator for the terrorists in Nigeria. His name is Sheikh Osama bin Gumi. Sheikh Osama bin Gumi was a retired Nigeria military captain. Then he ended up as Islamic teacher in Saudi Arabia until the what do you call it, that pants bomber, what is his name again? Abdul Muttalab. Remember Abdul Muttalab, that young man that wore a pants bomber on an airline, American airline, wanted to blow American passenger airline wearing a bomb. And it was radicalized by no other person than Sheikh Osama bin Gumi. Now, this Sheikh Osama bin Gumi is someone who is so prominent enough to know the locations the locations of all these terrorists without a map. He knows the routes to them, the short, the long, and the rest of that. Right now, Sheikh Osama bin Gumi is asking the Tinubu's government never to have any conversation with Trump. And in fact, the right thing to do now is for Tinubu to call the American ambassador to Nigeria and give them 48 hours to leave Nigeria, terminate the relationship with them because of what Trump just did. Saudi Arabia arrested Sheikh Osama bin Gumi, right? He was in prison for 7 months. And the pressure from Nigeria, I'm talking about all this Islamic terrorist sponsor, the behind the scenes sponsor, they pressured, and Nigerian government, they pressured Saudi Arabia in order to have Sheikh Osama bin Gumi released from prison. And when he was released, he was banned for life from Saudi Arabia. So, Alaye, they don't ban you for life. What you want to go do for Hajj? Osama bin Gumi decided to go to Hajj this year, 2025, under the under the National Hajj Commission, something, to make it look like he's going on an official trip to Saudi Arabia on an Hajj. He got there, they detained him at the airport, they bundled him back to Nigeria. Saudi Arabia does not want to have anything to do with terror sponsor in this sense, right? But Nigeria is a place where they feel so comfortable. In fact, they threaten government to listen to the terrorists or else